Well, and then the issue is, okay, well, what kind of liability is there for the person flying it,
sure,
and for the company that makes it?
Yeah. But what do you have to say about that? I mean, we've got a number of people who are trying to commercially exploit the drone world. You've got people who make them. You've got people who charge people money for flying them over and shooting movies, taking pictures of houses for realtors. You've got the drone repair business is a fairly big one because drones, they don't always come down cleanly. They crash and they burn sometimes, and sometimes you have to. Basically, the drone, it's a flying mini computer with a camera on it, and so as with your personal computer or your Mac or whatever you're using, sometimes you have to take it into the computer repair shop. So with drones, sometimes you have to get them repaired. So yeah, what do these various groups have to worry about in terms of liability?
Well, it's no different than any emerging technology. 120 years ago was the horseless carriage, and today it is. You operate a machine, whether it's a drone or an automobile, you're liable for your own negligence, and the manufacturer is liable for its negligence. So I guess we can start with the hobbyist.
Right.
If you go to an event, a public event, and you're flying your drone and complying with the law,
right,
in every other way, and you are bringing it down, and you negligently fly it into somebody, you're going to be liable for their injuries. And when you look at these drones, so this particular drone has 4 of these propellers, spinning at high rates of speed.
Correct.
This propeller is very light, and I imagine it has to spin very fast.
And they're pretty sharp on the edges, too.
Well, they're sharp enough to lop off a finger or cause a deep gash, or they can cause damage.
You can cut yourself with one of these things. Yeah.
Sure.
And the bigger ones, you clearly could lose a finger or a limb. When you start getting to the high-powered ones, especially the octocopters and things like that, those could be lethal weapons. With one like this, by and large, if things really get, and I've done this before on occasion, you reach up, grab it by the bottom, turn it off, or just pull the battery off. You can kill it that way. There's no way I'm going to try that with an octocopter with carbon fiber blades this long, because I'm going to lose my hands.
Sure, sure. And if you fly this into a crowd of people,
someone's going to get hurt.
Someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And so, it's like any other product and user error. The user will be liable for their negligence in failing to operate it in a safe manner. Just as if you're driving down the street and you drive up onto a sidewalk and run people over, you're going to be responsible.
Sure.
Now, the state of California mandates you have automobile insurance.
Right.
They make you insure yourself against your negligence. Will recreational droning come to that? It might. That remains to be seen.
My guess is yes. I think we're going to have certification, and we're going to have. They already have the requirement. If you're a drone pilot, even if you're recreational, you need to register yourself. And so I've got my little registration tags. They don't look very pretty, but I've got them on both of the drones that I fly. And on the back is my name and my email address and my phone number, with the hope that if this thing ever flies away, that somebody will find it, call me, and give it back to me. So.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so, when people are flying these things, they need to be concerned about, what if I make a mistake? Or it's a user error, even a simple one.
And one of the interesting things there is you're finding, and this is happening a lot in the warranty situation, where a drone will crash and the drone owner will say, it wasn't me. The software glitched, the thing just crashed. I wasn't even touching the controls or anything like that. And the factory then will often say, our drones don't crash. It was user error. You got 2 people pointing the finger at each other there.
So, right, and the injured party doesn't care.
They don't care. They'll sue both of them.
They'll sue both of them. And you're going to find, and you'll find automobile accident cases where the driver said, I put the brakes on, and they went straight to the floor, and I couldn't stop. And lo and behold, General Motors and Ford and these companies have you can find numerous instances where they're on the hook for product liability.
Right.
And so drones, like any other product, are subject to the same product liability laws. And in California, manufacturers, distributors, retailers, anybody in the supply chain for monetary value or compensate, where they benefit monetarily somehow, is going to be responsible on the hook. Now, there could be indemnification agreements between the manufacturer and the retailers or the wholesalers, but that's not the injured person's problem. So they can be on the hook for a manufacturing defect, a design defect. So a manufacturing defect would be, this little motor has a specification, and there's I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bunch of little coils in there.
Yes.
And so maybe one of those coils was left out. And with this on, right, the average consumer is not going to look in there.
No, they're not going to.
And so that causes some problem, and it causes it to fail list and runs into somebody.
Sure.
So that's a manufacturing defect.
Right.
A design defect would be, hey, this thing flies up, but it's really almost impossible to land unless you're an expert. It's just it has a poor design. These aren't big enough.
And it runs out of battery, and it falls out of the sky unless you're a super expert drone flyer. So for your average person, you can get it up, but it comes down wherever it wants.
It comes down wherever it wants, and it's just it's a poor design.
Right.
And then you have a failure to give proper instructions. So these are according to the box 14 and up. But you provide an operating manual that you need a PhD in aeronautical engineering to understand. And the 14-year-old kid goes out there, and he read the instructions, and he's trying to follow them, and he flies it into a group of people. So failure to instruct and failure to warn as to the dangers.
Interestingly enough, on the instruction, now, by the way, this is a Parrot Bebop, and one of the reasons I fly these is they religiously return home whenever the signal gets cut off, which I really, really like. But not all drones return home very well. When I first started flying a few years ago, the instruction, now almost all the drones right now are made overseas. The instructions you would get with drones, not particularly with the Parrot company, but with another company, were so terrible. I learned to fly by watching YouTube videos. The instructions were just indecipherable. They were so bad, and they're written on these tiny, tiny little pieces of paper. I mean, you got no instruction. You got a $1,400 drone, and you had to go on YouTube to figure out how to use it.
And that could be a problem. If the failure to give the proper instructions causes harm to somebody, and as the technology improves, so this Parrot drone returns itself to you.
Very well. It returns within a foot of where I launch it. Even if I drop dead of a heart attack and my controller falls over, this thing will come right back home.
All right. So as that technology improves, it will force the other drone companies to acquire that technology, because if it's out of use, it's that's why we don't have cars with 4 drum brakes anymore, or all cars have airbags now and crumple zones, because as the technology permits and becomes not cost prohibitive, it's expected that manufacturers will incorporate those technologies from a safety standpoint into their products. And the ones that don't have big problems and get sued and go out of business.
Right.
So the drone companies need to adapt. They need to pay attention to the latest technology, both in terms of manufacturing, design, with respect to safety and use. So if there's features that you can incorporate into your control that help with the stability or ability to fly, you're going to need to look very closely at those as a manufacturer.
Now, as a drone retailer, the drones are becoming so popular that there are drone shops popping up all over the place. As a U.S.-based drone retailer, what do you need to worry about when you're buying all your products from overseas?
Well, you need to. There's a lot of things you need to worry about. One, and we just talked about it. The technology. You don't, if you can avoid it. You don't want to sell products with outdated technology.
You don't want to be the one that sells a $99 drone.
You don't want to be this $99 drone seller, because that's just you're begging for trouble. I think you want to have solid agreements in place. You want to buy from a well-respected company that's been around and has adequate insurance. And coverage, some presence in the United States. You don't want to go onto a website and buy only from a company that sells direct out of China. You want the company to have a presence in the United States, so that if there's a problem, you don't have to go to China to enforce any warranties. And then I would look for companies with solid warranties that are enforceable. You should consult an attorney and say, look, I want to buy 100 drones a month from this company. Here's the agreement they're giving me. Does it protect me? And I would get copies of insurance policies, be named on the policy, because the problem is, if I buy this parrot from a Chinese company and they go away and have never set foot on the U.S. and I can't bring them here, and this crashes into somebody, I'm on the hook as part of the chain, the supply chain. And I need to be aware of those issues.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's take the drone repair situation. Obviously, these things crash. If you're a drone repairer, you're going to get a couple of different types of people coming to you. The first would be people who have a drone that's under warranty, the manufacturer's warranty, and they're going to be asking you to fix it under warranty. Then there could be people who either bought a drone that doesn't have a warranty, or they bought a used one where the warranty is voided, or they even tried to trick it out. Like a lot of people like to add lights and other things like that to their drones. The problem there is you basically have to strip the drone down, find the electrical connection, solder it in there, and then that's going to void any warranties. So you've got warranty repairs, you've got non-warranty repairs. If you're a drone repairer, what kind of things can you do to try to protect yourself?
Well, the number one thing you can do to protect yourself is insurance. And I think that's true if you're a retailer, distributor, wholesaler. You need adequate insurance. And repair people are the same. Again, and I'll use the automobile because it's the one everybody understands. And I think if you read the futurists, we're all going to be in unmanned vehicles. And some may go on the street, and a lot of them are going to fly. So we're all going to be transported by these in the future, and I suspect it's coming faster than everybody thinks.
I think so too.
So if I take my car to the dealer where I bought it, and I tell them the brakes are squeaking, and they take a look at it, and they take apart my brakes, and then they go on brake, and the next guy comes and just puts my tire back on, and I drive down the road without brakes and I crash into somebody, the repair shop is going to be responsible. Because they were negligent. It's the same here. The warranty for the practical. The warranty is going to contract with a repair shop to provide services in a limited manner. In other words, there's going to be a limited warranty on it, so there's only going to be X number of things that are covered. You're going to have insurance. The agreement is probably going to require you as the repair shop to have insurance and indemnify and defend the manufacturer. So there's certain things that you're going to need to negotiate with respect to those agreements, including what if you work on it, but you fix, the blade comes off, you fix that, but the next time the blade comes off because of a manufacturing defect, not because of your repair, right? The whole thing just falls off. Well, the manufacturer is going to look at you and go, this is your insurance, but you need to have no. My insurance doesn't pick up unless it's my fault. But if there's a manufacturing defect, a design defect, or something else that causes the problem, then manufacturer, you have to have insurance, and you have to cover me for those issues. And those are standard terms in agreements between manufacturers and repair. So, again, you need to consult a good attorney to review those documents to make sure that you are covered. As far as a repair shop where, hey, my kid flew his drone into a tree, and I bring it into the mall, and can you fix my drone? You need insurance. I think you also need to be aware. You need to ask the customer, is it under warranty? Do you have a copy of the warranty? Because there are going to be times when maybe what is covered, maybe it flew into the tree because it malfunctioned before it got to the tree. And that's a manufacturing defect, and so maybe you'll be able to help your customer get reimbursed from the manufacturer. And that will, and then maybe they'll pay you. It's better to have the manufacturer who has money than the guy with his 10-year-old kid,
with a broken drone,
pay for your services. But again, you're responsible for your own negligence. I take my car not to the dealer, but to Joe's tire shop, and they do the same thing, and I crash. Well, Joe's is going to be on the hook, and you need to have insurance.
So then the other situation is that you've got a lot of people who are making commercial use of drones for photography, and some of these people have the 333 exemption. Some are pirates that are just completely ignoring that part of the law. Photographing houses for realtors is a big deal right now, because you can take a drone up, you can get some beautiful pictures of a house that you couldn't get through any other means. And actually, one of the most effective ways that drones are being used right now, as I see, is they open up the doors, they put the drone inside the house, they fly the drone actually from inside the house out, and then they bank it up, so you get this beautiful panoramic view
of the whole
from
property.
The inside of the house to the entire property. You can even get it high enough to show if it's near a beach or something like that. Fantastic view. But as a drone operator, whether you have the commercial 333 exemption or not, what kind of things do you need to be worried about if you are using your drone to make money?
Well, you need to be aware of people accusing you of violating their privacy.
Okay, fair enough.
So the higher you get and the farther away from the house, the more likely it is that you're going to shoot into a neighbor's yard.
Correct, yes.
And as the Hatfields and McCoys will tell you, neighbors don't always get along.
Oh, yes, that's correct,
And so, you need to be aware of other people's privacy, and so to the extent that you can focus your shot only on the property you're paid to shoot, or blur out everybody else, or really narrow what you're doing there. That's going to be helpful.
Okay. The other interesting trend that I noticed is that 3 years ago or so, when drones first started coming out, the cameras were so bad that when you got more than 100 or 200 feet away from an object, you couldn't even see whether it was a male or female. You couldn't see much of anything. Now the cameras are getting better and better, and it's kind of like I've got a cell phone that takes better pictures than the camera I spent $1,200 on 5 years ago. Drones are going to go the same route, to the point where right now you get your drone, if you get a hobbyist level drone more than 400 feet above a house, you get the same view you get from Google Earth. So what is a reasonable expectation of privacy? Well, the drone cameras are getting so big that 2 years from now, you're going to get a drone 400 feet above a house, and you're going to be able to look at a guy and see that his hairline's receding and exactly how many plugs he needs to make him look younger. And you're going to be able to see the dog, and you're going to be able to analyze that the dog is 7.3 years old and isn't getting enough iron in their food. So I don't know what's going to happen. A reasonable expectation of privacy, but as the cameras get better and better, certainly the privacy issue is going to become more and more acute.
It's going to be a big problem, and it's an issue. It's going to be an issue for law enforcement as well as the regular hobbyist.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, I think, you know, I don't see the privacy issue going away. I don't see people ever allowing drones to be flown over their house, but privacy has been eroded in this country for the last 250 years. So, you know, there's going to be that ongoing battle for sure. And as the cameras and technology gets better, and pretty soon, you know, what's going to happen is you're going to have something this big or smaller. Yeah, with a camera
that takes better pictures.
Than that one.
No, I know. Yeah,
and you know, then they're designing drones that look like bugs and animals.
Yeah,
and
there's
birds.
A mosquito drone. Yeah, yeah.
And you know, you have all these issues coming, and
this one actually has a little camera on it. It's not a very good camera, but this one makes no noise whatsoever when it flies. Pretty much, you get it 6 feet away, you're not going to hear it. This one, you barely hear 40 feet away from you. But you know, the huge quadcopters, you get notice of them when they're 400 yards away because they make so much noise. They're basically small helicopters with 4 blades. But things are going to be getting quieter and quieter. Cameras are going to be getting better and better. So privacy is going to come more and more to the forefront.
Privacy will come to the forefront, and the smaller I think the drones are, and the better the cameras, the more risks people are going to take.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So what you have as a reasonable expectation of privacy is probably going to change. You're going to have to think twice about, you know, running around in your underwear in your backyard and things like that, because there may be a drone.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Be interesting.
Anything else with respect to products liability that we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so at this point. I think we just have to look into the future and see where drones are going to go. Obviously, as drones get smaller and smaller and get more and more reliable. I mean, if every drone returns to home like the Parrot Bebop does, then all of a sudden your liability is going to go way down. But, for example, one situation is when a drone loses signal, a lot of them will go up to a predetermined height, usually 60 feet. I set mine on 60 feet.
Okay.
But what if you're under an overpass? It's going to go up to the bottom of the overpass, crater out there, and then come flying down on the railroad tracks. So sense and avoid is obviously going to become more and more of a technology people are going to be looking at. Battery life is going to be very important. Right now, one thing I love about this drone is it gets me about 24 to 25 minutes of flight time. And so I can keep it up there a lot longer than something like that that'll give me about 3 minutes.
Right.
Batteries are going to get lighter and better as time goes on, and so the capability of a drone to fly long distances is going to be greater and greater, which certainly, going back to privacy, if you can fly a drone for an hour, well, you can set up in Rancho Palos Verdes, fly out to Catalina Island, take some pictures of people on a boat, and fly back on one battery. That's going to be much different the way it is right now. You pretty much have to hang around your drone. And so it's much more easy to tie the drone to the pilot. In the future, I think it's going to be much more difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with respect to the registration as these toy drones get smaller and smaller. They're going to be harder and harder to follow the registrations on them.
Well, you're going to try to get this registration on that drone? It's not going to fit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there'll be a microchip or something in it that someone can scan. Yeah. You know, and then as I say, other safety features as we move away from these blades, as new technologies emerge. You're going to see a big evolution of style, design.
Already we're moving toward enclosed propellers.
Right.
And can you grab that for me real quickly?
This part
and the red and black drone guard. So they're already coming out with rudimentary protections here where you can snap this onto your drone and it'll actually protect the propellers and anybody that you hit up against. So they're already coming out with this, and then the next phase I think is going to be circular prop guards that go around it so that you physically cannot touch the prop unless you're dumb enough to stick your finger in.
Right.
So, Yeah.
Right.
Then you truly will deserve the Idiot of the Month award if you do that. But
that won't prevent lawsuits.
Yeah.
That's why ladders have all those warnings on them.
Yeah.
I mean, the most simple technology there is. And
Don't use for climbing trees. This can hurt you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, people manage to get hurt.
People manage to get hurt, and you'll see lawsuits. So I think the best thing people can do is get insurance. Yeah. And let's talk briefly about what to do if you have a claim.
Please. Yeah.
So let's say that you are a commercial or even non-commercial, and you become aware of an incident where somebody's injured by a drone that you sold, manufactured, distributed, or flew.
Yeah.
So the first thing you need to do is notify your insurance agent or the company that insures you, and give them all of the details and all the information about your drone, make, model, year, and the facts about the incident.
Sure.
Do not throw your drone away.
Yeah.
Do not throw away any of the evidence.
Right.
Put it in a bag if it's still operable or whatever and you plan to use it. Take pictures of it. Take video of it so you can show the condition that it was in on the day of the incident.
Yeah.
Don't talk to anybody. Don't give any statements. You may have to talk to the
police
or fire. Cooperate with authorities, obviously. It's no different than when you get in an auto accident. The police come to a scene, they take a report.
Right.
Give a true and factual statement of what happened.
Yeah.
And then make sure that this information is provided to your insurance company. They will retain an attorney on your behalf.
Yeah.
And then don't talk to the other person's insurance company. Don't talk to the injured person's attorney until your insurance company's assigned you an attorney. Yeah. If you didn't listen to our advice and you don't have insurance, you need to seek an attorney straight away.
Right.
If you're served with a lawsuit, same thing. You have to advise your insurance company right away or hire an attorney.
Yeah.
Do not defend yourself unless you're seeking a poor result, and you don't want to be in the drone business at all anymore.
Right.
The second code is 486. The second code is 486.
Yeah, but I think, the most important thing, again, like I said, is insurance and being safe and keeping up with the latest technology. And, as these things emerge, it'll be probably tougher and tougher to do until everything gets regulated.
Right.
Like all sort of Wild West industries, there's going to be standards.
Yeah.
Manufacturing standards, design standards, and operating standards.
Operating standards, yeah.
And until those get ironed out, be careful out there.
Yeah, and just try to figure out don't fly over nests, but don't be surprised if, as you're taking your drone down, somebody with a shotgun blows away that bird that you were trying to keep away from. That's just the way it goes.
And if you're flying your drone in a hunting area, be careful.
Yeah. There actually are incidents of drones being shot down by guns now.
I'm certain there are, and that it's going to continue until all this is ironed out. But I think, like everything, operate your drone with common sense. Don't try to impose your drone into what other people are doing.
Sure.
And generally speaking, you'll probably be okay.
All right, great. Well, Ed, thank you very much for your commentary. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm Eric Hanscom with Ed Burns, and thank you for watching this MCLE. We appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you.